So we're going to go ahead and continue solving one-step equations with multiplication and division. We're on example number 6 here. So we're going to go ahead and set it up like we set up every single problem by circling our variable, then drawing our line of equality. Nick, what operation is it asking us to do here? Read this problem to me. So what's the inverse operation of division? So I'm going to, in order to get rid of this -3, I have to do the opposite of division, which is multiply. So I'm going to multiply each side by what number?
-3.
By -3. Good. Make sure you take that negative with it. Cancels on my left. So my variable is now by itself. So I have f equals. Nick, what's 2 times -3? So -2 times -3 is what?
6.
Yeah, 6, a positive 6. When multiplying and dividing integers, negative equals positive, positive equals positive, negative equals negative, positive equals negative. What is all that, right? Think of it like this way. When you multiply and divide, same signs equals a positive number. Different signs equals a negative number. What I recommend you do is open up your folders or on your folders somewhere. What I like to have kiddos do put multiply, divide, I abbreviate. So what I would do, I would write same sign. I would use this as a cheat sheet. It'll help you. I mean, obviously, if you type it into your calculator, it'll give you the correct answer. But if you're quick, like if you have 2 times 5 and you know it's 10, and then you have negatives in with it, you're wasting extra time by typing it into your calculator. So this can be your little cheat code to help you out. So if it's the same sign, only when you multiply and divide, your answer will be positive. If they're different signs, then your answer is going to be negative. So that's a little cheat sheet that can help you out. So if I would plug in, so if we're saying f equals 6, if I would take 6 and plug it in for f, and I would take 6 divided by -3, I would in fact get -2. So I know that my answer would be right. Okay? Give you guys just a little bit longer to write this part down, and then we'll move on to the next example problem. Okay, so let's take a look at example number 7. Read this problem for me, Isaiah.
-12 equals g, parentheses, -2.
Okay, so the variable is touching parentheses. There's nothing that separates the variable from the parentheses. So what operation is that asking you to do? What's that? Nope, if you remove the parentheses, it means something totally different. So because the variable is touching the parentheses, somebody help them out. What operation is that asking you to do?
Oh.
Multiply. Now let's say I took that parentheses off. That means something totally different. If I take the parentheses away, then you're with g minus 2. So then it's asking you to subtract. But because the parentheses are in there, it makes it a different operation. So make sure you get that variable circled. Nice long line of equality. So you guys told me this means to multiply. What's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. So what am I going to divide each side by? Make sure it's by -2. Yeah. Take that negative with it. So that they cancel on my right. I bring down my variable of g equals. So ignore the signs for a minute. What's 12 divided by 2? 6. 2 negatives. They're the same sign. So what is my answer going to be? Positive. That's your final answer. I'll give you a second to get caught up on that. Okay, so you're only going to see every single time. This is strong. Okay. All right, moving right along. Example number 8. Read this one to me, Deontay.
H divided by 3 equals -7.
You read it to me backwards.
Oh, well.
Always, because we read left to right, right? So do your math left to right.
-7 equals H divided by 2.
Tell me what to do.
First circle of H. And then multiply the 3.
Nope.
What? No, circle the H, then draw the line.
There you go. Draw your line of equality. All right, go ahead.
And then multiply the 3 by 3.
Because that will cancel them.
Yeah, then cancel that out. And then bring down the H.
Okay, but you forgot whatever I do on one side, I.
Do to the other.
So I'm going to write this in parentheses. Again, since it's not separated with another operation sign, that operation sign and 7 are touching, it still means to multiply. Now, if I took those parentheses off the 3, it would be different. If you don't like how that looks, then you can write negative. You could put, this one's hard to write. You could write as -7 times 3. You could write as 3. Put the parentheses around the -7 to make it look better. So let's do the parentheses around both numbers. So 3 times -7. So what's 3 times 7, Deontay?
21, -21.
Okay, different signs, it's going to be a negative. Good. And then box your answer. So probably just to help with the confusion there, we'll put parentheses around both numbers. Any questions on that one? I think the hardest part of solving one-step equations when you multiply and divide is trying to determine if it's meaning to multiply or subtract when you're throwing those negative numbers in. I think that's where people get or struggle the most. Example number 9. So 2 more example problems to do. So this is 13 equals -I. I don't have a number. So what do I do?
Don't you just drop it?
Nope, I can't just drop it. Kelsey? Okay, so Carlos and Nimmons way you just transfer over, and that's fine. But anytime you have a variable by itself, what can you put up in front of it? A number 1. So what we're going to do just in order for us to be able to show our work, and what you said is exactly right too, but just for work purposes, bless you. We're going to circle our variable. We're going to squeeze a number 1 in there. I'm going to draw my line of equality still. So if I want to get that I by itself, what do I have to get rid of? -1. So what's the inverse operation here? No. Is that, remember that 1 is touching that number. I always think of the number like with the but. If the but is touching the variable, it means to multiply. If there's nothing in there to separate, if it's right there, there's nothing to separate, it means to multiply. So what's the opposite of multiply? What are we going to divide it by? What kind of 1 is that? So we're going to divide it by -1. Cancel. So on my right side, I'm ready to bring down my I. My left side, what's 13 divided by 1? Just take 13 divided by 1 right now. 13. Now, I have a positive and a negative, so I have different signs. So what should my answer have? A negative. So this is just a way that you could show your work. But, as Kelsey said, you could just simply, since it's a negative, you could just simply move it over and you get the same thing. But because I'm picky, I like to see your work, I want to see your steps. When we get into more complicated problems, I won't always make you show me that last step. So when we're doing solving multi-step equations, I won't make you show me that last little step. All right, you ready for the last example problem? So we have 1 equals j divided by -1. Raise your hand if you can walk me through start to finish without any errors. All right, Isaiah?
Circle the variable. Then put your line of equality.
Okay,
And then you want times about -1.
good.
And then you cross that out. I mean, you do it to the other side too.
So I'm going to put parentheses around both my numbers there to show that I'm multiplying. And you're right, I'm going to cross that out. Okay, continue.
And then you do -1 times -1.
All right,
And then you put your equal sign.
on my line of equality.
And then you bring the variable down.
Okay,
Then you box it.
perfect. Any questions on this one? Okay, nice job.